Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. Today we're going to go through the Origins loot. And although I don't feel like I spent that much money, I did go slightly over budget. In fact, I went exactly one game over budget. So we're going to see what we went through here. I'm going to start with the RPG stuff. I picked up maybe more RPG stuff than I usually do at Origins, and less Traveler stuff, but not no Traveler stuff. In fact, a number of the things that we're about to take a look at are in fact Traveler related, or at least Traveler related according to me. One of them is Free Spacer. This is a game by Krzysztof Sapinski. I picked this up from Indie Press Revolution or from Indie Game Developers Network. I think it was Indie Game Developers Network, and this is Random Alien Games. So what this is billed as, this is of course a narrative indie RPG, a sandbox starship tabletop role-playing game. Now, of course, I kind of have a sandbox starship tabletop role-playing game already. It's called Traveler, and it's been around for some time. However, I felt like this was, it was only like 28 bucks. And it's a very nicely presented book. And I felt like this might give me some inspiration and or tools for Traveler campaigns in this kind of format, where you're a bunch of random people on a starship wandering around getting into trouble. That is, of course, one of the classic Traveler campaign templates. Very shiny paper, too. It's a pretty nice looking book. We'll see if I do more with this or not. I may be able to get a PDF of this along with the physical copy, but I'm not sure. I would have picked up Court of Blades, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, but which is also a descendant of Band of Blades and Blades in the Dark, both of which I like very much. But by my unhappy mischance, they had run out of it exactly 2 minutes before I got there. I did pick up from Modifius 5 Parsecs from Home 3rd edition. Now, this got nominated for a CSR award, and I'm not sure by what criteria this qualifies, but it is solo adventure wargaming. It is intended to be played with miniatures, which I refuse to use, but it also seems like there might be some inspiration in here for Traveler. And it's a nice, like, digest-sized hardcover book, very nicely presented. We do have a lot of, like, tactical stuff in here, which might itself be interesting. But you can always use tokens, or, you know, I could even whip something together on Vassal easily enough to fool around with this. So this might be, might also provide some inspiration for Traveler, and it also was at a pretty good price. Modifius also had some, but not very much, stuff from their Conan RPG. That's a 2D20 system RPG, which I actually like a lot, and I think might be the best Conan RPG to date. Not that the bar has been set exceptionally high on that, but I also liked the GURPS Conan material, for example. So they lost the license to do that, so they are phasing it out and dumping whatever inventory they can. They had 2 books for a fire sale price. Jeweled Thrones of the Earth, which is a collection of adventures. And these are both pretty nice hardcovers. I haven't opened this one yet. And this is the Age of Conan. And even for $12, I actually might not have picked this up had I remembered what it was. What this is the tie-in book for Funcom's Age of Conan MMORPG. And, you know, there might still be stuff in here that's usable, but not something I'm incredibly high on at the moment is the Age of Conan RPG, even though I continue to play from time to time the Conan Exiles survival game that they do, which I find very atmospheric and a lot of fun to play in a pretty relaxing way. The third thing I picked up that's inspiration or potential, at least potential material for Traveler is the Alien RPG. This is from Free League. This is the hardcover. There is a starter set as well, and I debated whether to buy the starter set, which contains an extra adventure. There's an adventure in here. Well, I should say the starter set contains a different adventure, which actually sounds cooler to me from what I read about it. But this contains the entire game system rather than just sort of a truncated version thereof. So I went with this instead. And the starter set's only like $5 cheaper than the core book, so I went with the core book instead. And if nothing else, it'll be easier to put on the shelf. It's a nicely presented book. I don't have a lot of things to say about it. I have read through some of like the Alien history. I, of course, like the movies, right? I will say that I don't know how canonical this is because I'm not an expert at all. This future history feels pretty ridiculous to me, but that's, being what it is. Again, I think there might be mechanisms or inspiration for traveler campaigns in the Alien RPG, so I felt like that was worth buying. I do not at this time intend to pick up more material for it unless something particularly catches my eye. I like that cool looking adventure that's in the starter set, which you can get separately. And of course, I'll probably be happy to have any extra material on PDF, since the chance of me running the Alien RPG as the Alien RPG is pretty small. So one of the things that I have is a Google Sheets document that contains parts of my game library, so that when I go to a place like a convention or the soldiery or whatever, I can say, oh, I need that, or I have that, and not buy it again because I already had it. So I had to be a little bit limited on what I picked up for Traveler Mongoose 2nd Edition from Studio 2, who is a fulfillment company rather than a distributor or just strictly warehouser per se. They handle all the fulfillment stuff. One that I did know I need is the relatively recently released in hardcover Aliens of Charted Space Volume 3. We might get a flip through this, so I'm just going to tell you super briefly what's in it. All of these Aliens of Charted Space books have 4 alien species in them, and the first 2 were all the major races. And the volume 3, and I hope they continue to do these, they can do 15 of these as far as I'm concerned, contain the Darians, the Geonii, the Dolphins, and the Orca, and the Bwaps. So there's actually 5 here. Rather than getting into the details of that, I'll save that for the inevitable flip-through video. I did buy 3 items from Chaosium. Again, it's like, do I have this already? But I knew I did not have, because I had not yet picked up, the RuneQuest Adventures in Glorantha volume, Weapons and Equipment. Now, you might think this is strictly an equipment guide, and I haven't opened it yet, and there's a process you go through to get the PDFs, which I will do. There's more than just equipment in here. There's like a lot of background stuff and things like that, and I'm always happy to patronize Chaosium. I'm always delighted that they're there at Origins. They had one brand new thing that we will see, and there's I'm not sure, other than this Weapons and Equipment Guide, I'm not sure they've produced another piece of material for the new edition of RuneQuest since last Origins. Of course, the Jonestown Compendium community content program is thriving, and they had actually a bunch of that stuff there as well to sell, and I looked at it. And again, it was one of those things. There were a couple things I knew I needed, but I can get those on print on demand through Drive-Thru-RPG, and they would have been no different. So I can get those later. This I wanted to pick up because I knew that I needed it, and I do very much like the new RuneQuest RPG. I like the old RuneQuest RPG for that matter. I'm not sure that this is new, but it's pretty new. This is the Mainz Index to Glorantha, and it is a hardcover book, and this is the 3rd iteration of this. And what this is basically a very nicely presented, lavishly illustrated with pictures and little anecdotes and articles about products that they announced but never actually did. Complete index to all RuneQuest material anywhere. The cover of Avalon Hill, for example. And I haven't read this whole thing yet, obviously. All the magazines and everything are all in here, and many times they give you pictures. So this is going to be I kind of would have been satisfied to have had this in PDF, because I largely want this as research material. It does cover Hero Wars, Hero Quest as well. All the third-party publishers, Mongoose, all this stuff. So it's a huge mine of information, and here is this is damn handy by itself. Master lists of scenarios and cults and spells and all this other stuff. Design mechanism, they cut off right before design mechanism gets to Mithras, I believe. But I'm very happy with basically every single edition of, I've never seen that before, Adventures in Glorantha. This must be the Gen Con draft that they lost the license to, so... this is a really nice, like I said, Signs and Portents magazine, which was Mongoose's house magazine. I don't think they do that anymore. But invaluable research material, and it's a nicely presented hardcover book. It's even got like a little ribbon in it, which I still have not yet experienced. The final thing, and the final RPG item, and maybe the most exciting RPG item that I picked up, that isn't Traveler anyway, is the new Pendragon starter set. You will be seeing an unboxing of this, so stay tuned for that. Chaosium is doing a great job with starter sets in general, and they are this is in like about a 1-inch box, as you know, kind of the long-standing Chaosium tradition of doing boxes roughly this size. I don't know if that's why they present it this way or not, but as you can see, there's rather a lot of material in here, so I can't wait to look at this. I have played Pendragon before. It is a brilliant game, often hampered by unclear explanations inside the rules. This ought to remedy that. So very much looking forward to their full new edition of Pendragon is coming sooner or later as well. But this is the starter set, which is out now. They did sell out of this. They had what looked like a decent number of copies, but I'm pretty sure the first one to get one. So on to the war games, and I have 4 older games that I picked up on deep discount, and well, 3 of the 4 anyway, and then 3 brand new or pretty new products that I'll talk about in a minute. Let's first of all get to the older products that I picked up from our good friends at Enterprise Games out of Indianapolis. Highly recommended, enterprisegames.com. Frozen Hell is a tactical combat series game. It was released in 2000 by the gamers, pre-MMP, and very promising TCS system. Probably going to see something from me on the TCS system. In the meantime, if you're waiting on me, go check out the Tabletop's Edge. Doug over there is doing a video on TCS now as well. I had actually sent Don an email and said, hey, I noticed you have this. Can you bring it to Origins and I'll buy it? And he did, and I am delighted to have bought it. The other stuff I also picked up from Enterprise Games, and they usually have like a discounted items table, which is largely GMT products for respectable discounts. And then a deep discounts table, which is usually a very deep discount. This table, which had a whole bunch, probably 60 games on it when I got there, and by the time I walked out on Saturday, there was very little left on any of their tables, actually. I didn't ask at the end, but they felt like they were doing really, really well. All 4 games I bought from Enterprise Games, other than the new stuff, are from the Gamers and or Multiman Publishing. So 2 games from the Napoleonic Brigade series, Talavera and Vimero, and Aspern-Essling. I had Aspern-Essling before. It is a pretty old product from 1999. It's so old and primitive, in fact, that it has a blank box back. I now have 3 of the 4 Napoleonic Brigade series games that they did as professional publications. There's at least 1 and maybe 2 additional print and play Napoleonic Brigade series games. It's a very interesting looking system that I hope to get into someday. I don't have Austerlitz is the one that I don't have. And the great thing about these is that you can usually get them reasonably cheap. Talavera and Vimero, of course, is, Wellington in the Peninsular War. Aspern-Essling is one of the most famous Napoleonic battles. Now, hilariously, both Aspern-Essling and this game, Leros, the Island Prize, are games that I had previously bought from Enterprise Games and dumped because I was convinced I wasn't going to do anything with them, and then I have reevaluated that. So I picked up both of them again as part of that 3 for $60 thing. Leros is another TCS system game. It is the complete campaign, German amphibious invasion of the Mediterranean island of Leros in November 1943. There is an unboxing of this on the channel. If you want to check that out, go ahead. I don't think there's an unboxing of Aspern-Essling. Talavera was in the shrink wrap too, and I opened it up because I could not resist. I'm probably not going to do unboxings of any of those. I may do unboxings of 2 of these 3 I will definitely do unboxings of. From the Dietz Foundation, Free at Last. This is a game about the civil rights movement in the 20th century by Ted Torgerson and Damon Stone. Now, the Dietz Foundation is pretty interesting. They're a publisher of historical games, which include war games and some other stuff, that is set up as a nonprofit, which is very interesting. Now, I have heard that there are some issues with this game. However, I don't really want it as a competitive board gaming exercise. I want it as a vehicle that I could play it a few times and learn things about the civil rights movement that I did not know. So this has been on my radar since it was announced, which was some time ago, and it was eventually picked up by the Dietz folks. The game came out in 2022. I think that sounds right. Does it say that on here? It does not say that on here. So roughly 2021, 2022, something like that. It might even have been earlier this year, but I don't think so. I Didn't get a chance to pick up Littoral Commander, the Sebastian Bay's new game from the Dietz Foundation, but those were selling like hotcakes. You can get all this stuff on the Dietz Foundation website. Now, the two new products I both picked up from Enterprise Games, and they are both brand new releases from GMT. And at least one of these did sell out. Under the Southern Cross was the first one I picked up. This is Volume 4 in the Flying Colors series. That's sort of a squadron-level Age of Sail game system that I like very much. Game designed by Mike Nagel. All the games are standalone games, so this is not an expand. It feels... it's probably not mounted maps. The South American Naval Battles in the Age of Sail, 1811 to 1841, which I believe will include the War of the Pacific. This is a terrific system if you want something that is a little less Starfleet battlesy, say. I'm aware of the precedents here, but there might be more people nowadays from it. Maybe not. It's less a direct analog to Wooden Ships and Iron Men or Close Action than it is its own thing. Although it's clearly inspired by Wooden Ships and Iron Men, as any naval sail game, Age of Sail naval game ever is going to be. But it's simpler. It's easier to play. It's easier to do like larger battles, like Trafalgar and stuff like that. So this actually looks really interesting. Again, they're all standalone, so you don't need the previous games. Although they did have the new deluxe edition, new-ish, as in like the last 3 or 4 years, of Flying Colors as well there. But I had that already, and I might even have bought it from them. Enterprise Games, again, they're terrific folks. Have nothing but the highest regard for what they're doing over there. And they've got quite a lot of stuff in stock, although their website can be a bit of work to page through, but you know, you do the work, you get the games. The last product that we're going to talk, I did buy some dice too, but I'm not going to show you those, is Mr. President, the American Presidency from GMT. This is brand new. Both of these things, new releases from GMT, I'm not sure all the P500 people have them yet, but they did have a few at Origins. This was sold out at Enterprise Games. I know that because I bought the last one, and I whiffled and waffled over it, and this is like a long-awaited game that was in development for a long time. It was in development so long that the price increased by the time the time came to print the thing, and they honored the old P500 price, which was like $55 or something crazy like that, even though they had to jack the price up. And it is in a huge 4-inch box. You will see an unboxing of this. It looks pretty promising. I wasn't planning to buy this, and this is my one game over budget. And then I was laying in bed, trying to go to sleep at night, and looking at the Mr. President stuff, and I'm like, man, this looks really simulation-y. I think I gotta have this. So I picked it up. It is a solitaire game. We'll maybe explore it in future videos. So hopefully this has been entertaining. The Origins loot, I felt like the dealer's room was really hopping. I don't know what the attendance numbers were. They haven't announced them yet. But they'll definitely be higher than last year. Probably not as high as 2019, but they're, getting back on the right track insofar as is possible for as disorganized an institution as Gamma is. At a great time at Origins. There will be some other stuff in addition to the videos that I posted during Origins, which of course I had to struggle with bandwidth, so bear that in mind. But we did manage to successfully stream on Thursday nights. I will no doubt have talked about this on a previous counterclipping show on Monday, so please check those out. That's likely to be the show immediately after Origins, but I may continue to mention it for a while. I had a great time. Looking forward to next year. We're already talking about what we're going to do for next year. Hopefully you found this interesting. If so, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to the channel for more wargaming and RPG, occasionally content. If you would like to help support the channel, it really helps to keep what we do here going. You can find links to do that in the video description, including links to the Ko-Fi and the merch store, where the merch is very spiffy, and the Patreon. So please do check those out. Thanks very much again for watching, and until next time, happy gaming.